Hi friends. So we are back again today with this next video on HR Shorts with Atulya. So the topic that actually I've picked up today is a very interesting one. And this topic is about making a career in talent acquisition, or why you should pick up a career if you are a HR professional or if you are a student of HR in the space of what we call talent acquisition or recruitment or talent supply. So I'm going to leave by the end of this video, leave 5 points with you about why you should pick up a career in talent acquisition. So let's straight away jump into the topic and talk about the first reason. So the first reason for you to take up a talent acquisition role is because it's a very, very high impact role. And the reasons are very clear. When you're working in talent acquisition, who knows that you are going to hire the next, maybe the CEO of the company. So the positions or the roles that you are going to hire in all likelihood are the future leaders of the company that you are going to hire. And think about any position. It could be anybody who tomorrow might become the leader of the company. So it's a very, very high impact role. And you are actually the face of the company. People look up to you. For you to be successful in talent acquisition, there has to be a very clear connect that your personality or your persona should be able to create an impact on the external world, which is your candidates who you are trying to acquire or hire for your company. So building your employee value proposition and building that employer brand is a very important task in a talent acquisition role. Hence I say that, attracting talent is a very, very high impact role. And whatever you do in this is going to have a huge impact on the company at the end of the day. So talent that you get, very, very crucial for you. Point number one. The number two reason why you should take up a talent acquisition role is because it's a very, very high visibility role. And you are going to build very strong, very high, very wonderful and very robust connects in the internal and external environment. So very high visibility. In a talent acquisition role, mostly you would interact with anybody who is a senior leader in the company because you are the center point of getting the right person for the right job in your company. And you will work with the CFOs, with the CMOs, with operations, supply chain, marketing, or sales, or think about any function. So you are actually the center point. You are the person who is actually going to make sure that you understand the organization strategy of what quality of talent that you need to get, and then work very closely with these leaders that I just mentioned from different functions and businesses to put the right talent roadmap for the company. So this is your internal connections. Now let's come to the external connections. External connections, you would be working very closely with campuses. So if you're hiring from some of the top B schools, from engineering colleges, from ITIs, think about any source of recruitment of young talent. You would be in touch with most of the campuses. So you have very high external connect and relationships. If you're hiring experienced lateral hires, if you're hiring senior seasoned people for the roles, you're going to have very high connections with the headhunters, because in all likelihood you will use headhunters or staffing consultants for staffing those positions. Very, very important connections for you, and you are pretty much somebody who is well known in the market because you connect with so many people in the external world. For all your top C-suite positions or the very, very senior leader positions, you will go for headhunting, and that's where you work a lot with headhunters. Think about your own hiring. So a lot of hiring you will do on your own through various platforms like LinkedIn, through Naukri. There are different portals that you utilize these days for reaching out directly also to candidates, a lot of times, to potential employees. That also helps you to build so much of, so many connections outside. So your connections, be it through LinkedIn, through headhunters, through campus relationships, are going to be very, very prominent. You are going to build really strong connections, very high visibility, internally, externally, with most of the people that you can see outside. The third reason for you to take up a talent acquisition role is actually it's a very high process driven role. A lot of times, we have this notion that is there really a method behind selecting somebody? But let me tell you that this is supposed to be one of the most critical processes for you. Just think about, if you were owning a company, would you want to hire somebody who gets hired and 3 months down the line you feel that, hey, have I really hired the right person? If you start asking those questions, have I mishired or have I hired the wrong person, it can have a big damaging impact on your organization. The ramifications or the implications could be really negative. So nobody wants to hire a person who doesn't fit in. And how do you do that? It's a process-based approach. So talent acquisition people have to have the mindset of being very process-oriented. And there are different stages in the process that we talk about when we talk about talent acquisition. So your process mindset will really get built up, and you will really learn that very well if you take up a talent acquisition. Think about doing the first level tests or cognitive ability test, or it could be some sort of psychometric test. So you really have to master those skill sets over a period of time. You should be able to interpret those psychometric tests. There are tools which help you to assess the personality of an individual. There are some starting point screening mechanisms which are there in the process. Once you have done that, interviewing itself is a skill, right? There has to be a process orientation in the interview where this whole piece of selecting the right person by asking the right questions, which is based on certain examples, with a context, with an action, with a result, is actually an art. It's a skill. Interviewing is a skill which you have to learn. And you are not the only person who has to learn it. It's also the leadership in the organization where you have to build the capability of your leaders who are interviewers to actually select the right people. Because the implications could be really, really big if you don't hire the right people in the company. So think about psychometric, your cognitive test, interviewing, and making sure you do the right background checks. How can we miss that point? We hire a person and you get to know that the person never went to the university that you're talking about for which you selected him. Big surprise, right? Big surprise. Can't afford those situations. So background check, another step in the recruitment process. Very important. So once you've done a talent acquisition role, you would pretty much be a person who understands the process very well. And that is exactly what I'm trying to say when I talk about it giving you a process orientation. The fourth reason for you to pick up a talent acquisition role is about learning the art of marketing, selling, and negotiation. To me, talent acquisition is a role which very closely connects with being a sales role or a marketing role. Because all you're doing to a large portion is actually marketing your employer brand. You're creating an employer brand, you're creating a social media presence. You are trying to become the employer of choice, is what we call, right? You position yourself as a great place to work. And that is a lot of marketing, branding, and selling. The way you go on the campuses or the way you campaign about the positions, about the culture of the company, about the values of the company, about the whole packaging of your brand for which the person should associate with you. Why should a candidate associate with you? Is a large portion. The equity building that happens on the campuses, right? How do you attract the talent is all part of marketing and sales. And it's a very objective function. When I say sales, very objective, right? Sales, I get a certain target at the beginning of the month. By the end of the month, I know whether I've delivered or not. It's very absolute, right? It's an absolute thing. I know I've done it or I have not done it. And that's why within HR, among so many intangibles that we have, recruitment is one function which is supremely objective. So you have to hire 100 people beginning of the month. By the end of the month, either you have hired or you have not hired. The question is very different. It's a very absolute role and it's a high pressure job. So along with marketing and sales, like the intricacies of branding and communication is what we talked, sales is high pressure, and so is recruitment. Because you have to do a lot of hiring in a less period of time with the right quality, without any chances of mishire, with so much of processes that we just talked about, satisfying all your customers is going to be something which can be really challenging. So if you like high pressure stuff and you like that flair of connections with people, marketing and selling, recruitment is definitely something you should gun for. And the third piece within this fourth reason is negotiation. Because in all likelihood, once you offer the candidate, you are going to have negotiation discussions on the compensation and benefits, right? So negotiation is a skill, negotiation is an art. And a lot of roles within HR may not teach you that. Definitely recruitment is one where you will learn the art of negotiation. On how do you create a win-win. Negotiation is always about a win-win. It's not about a win-lose, right? So how do you find the right sweet spot where the candidate accepts your offer, and as a company you also position yourself in the right way. So this is something which is going to be extremely important. Coming to the last reason for me on why you should take up talent acquisition is because HR technologies will have a very strong correlation with, or a very high influence on, talent acquisition as a function going forward. So if you are somebody who likes HR technologies, should definitely look at talent acquisition, because you will see in the coming days, with artificial intelligence coming into play, with machine learning coming into play, with so much of HR technologies coming into play, recruitment will be one area where a lot of companies will pilot to remove the non-value adding activities, which means you will learn a lot of new technologies in HR. And I give you a very simple example, couple of simple examples. So we are not going to be far away from the days where the telephonic interviews can be done by a robot. AI technology or a machine learning technology will come in where the telephonic interviews can be done by machine learning, which will remove a lot of non-value adding work from the role. Or think about candidate experience, right? So for a recruiter, it may not be possible to reply to 1,000. So you may have a chatbot kind of a scenario of interacting with the candidates. So recruitment is clearly an area where you have a ROI if you invest in technology, because clearly you can go down on the number of people, you can clearly look at a much better consistent experience, and a lot of companies, because they see that ROI in recruitment with investing in AI and machine learning, will definitely look at investing in talent acquisition. So a good opportunity for you to learn AI and technologies. And I always say that, from my experience, I can tell you that talent acquisition is a role which is the most critical role among the HR roles, because that's your starting point. In FMCG world, we use this acronym called FMOT, that is called first moment of truth. And you are actually the first moment of truth for anybody who wants to join your company. So you are somebody in this role who really has to connect, who really has to sell, who really has to market, who really has to establish that trust, or be the first point of contact to give that experience to an employee or candidate, so that the person can really join the company. So that makes it very exciting, very interesting. And yes, obviously not to forget the fact that we talked about so many things about connections and you yourself learning the processes and learning the technology, so it makes it a very exciting space to be in. So this is what I had for you today, and I would love to hear your feedback on the videos I've been posting. I've been trying to share some work around what are some of the different areas or different careers within the HR domain that you can take up. So this was just a small attempt to cover one of the subsets of HR, talent acquisition. And if you're liking the channel and the content, please subscribe to HR Shorts with Atulya. And I will look forward to your feedback, comments. Stay safe, stay healthy. Wish you great luck. All the best. Bye-bye.